let's get on to the national issues. And this week, in fact, there are very two good, reviews that are going to be which has taken. And one is the Parliament Privileges Committee thing. And previously, when P.V. Narasimha Rao government wanted to sustain in power, then the JMM has supported the government, and at the time taking the bribe and voting, and taking the bribe and not voting. So there is a favorable judgment came at that point of time that the so-called politicians in power trying to question the authority of even most of the officers and their privileges. So that has been stuck down. So what do you think? Is it a very good judgment in for the sustenance of democracy and for the functioning of the people? So can you elucidate?
Yeah, it's a very good judgment. There's no doubt about that. Because what's a privilege? Actually, can there be a privilege for anyone just because he's a member of a parliament, which is not there for the common citizen of India? And these chaps have got so used to claiming every privilege. Whenever they come and meet officers, they say, it's my privilege, I'm an elected representative. I'm glad the Supreme Court has clarified there is no such privilege. The privilege is only a privilege confined to the legislative, whatever is that assembly or parliament or wherever they are functioning, with reference to a function that they are carrying on within the legal bounds. When you commit an illegality of taking a bribe and voting and still say I am privileged, that's not a privilege. In fact, there is a problem with the earlier judgment. Earlier judgment is so ridiculous. If you take bribe and vote, you are covered by the privilege. If you take bribe and don't vote, the privilege is not there. So you are liable to be prosecuted. So that was, both ways they should be prosecuted, because taking bribe is a criminal act. So how can you say I have a privilege? A privilege can be in terms of a discussion. You make some comment there, which otherwise would be a offense outside. Yes, that's a privilege you get because you are functioning as part of the legislature procedures and activity. So that distinction has been properly brought out by the Supreme Court. It's a good judgment, and they should make, I think, our systems better in their functioning, definitely.
The second point which I want you to just explain and give your opinion is recently the Supreme Court has taken a very serious note on this government bonds. It wants the State Bank of India to disclose each political party how much they got and all that. A political, both in ruling and opposition and all that. And State Bank of India has sought for an extension of time, and it took very serious note, and they said they should get the information by tomorrow, and they should submit everything by 15th, so that everyone will come to know about what the political. What do you think about these bonds issue? Because as you rightly said, the money part, physical money part, cash part, that's black money. Support to the political party will not be there if it is official and all that, but there should be a funding by the so-called industrial houses to these political parties, and will there be any quid pro quo as far as sponsoring these bonds and all that? So can you just give your thought on this?
I think it was foolish of SBI to have gone to the court, frankly. No court would have allowed it. It looks so apparent, and if a Supreme Court has told yes, the credibility of the institution itself will go down. So this was an expected judgment from the Supreme Court. So the petition of the SBI is a foolish petition. They shouldn't have gone to the Supreme Court requesting that we will only disclose it after elections. I mean, there is no way you can say that, and that too with no particular reason. I mean, there is no compelling reason to say I cannot disclose it. That's one part of it. But coming back to the original judgment of the Supreme Court itself, point here is there are two issues simultaneously. Is it better to have a non-transparent proper system where white money transfers hands, or a system where cash is handled and handed over to the political parties? Any day the first one is a better one. The electoral bonds facilitate that. To that extent, the cash portion is knocked off. Today what will happen? So okay, there are no electoral bonds, you can't give anything in white. So what happens? The political parties demand, the business houses will find a way of creating cash through some accounting procedures and share it with the political system. So how does it going to improve the functioning of the electoral practices in the country? So I don't think that's a right alternative that the Supreme Court has left to the political parties to finance their electoral activity, because it's a known thing that parties need funds to run their campaign. Of course, it's going far greater than campaign, even cash dole-outs being given out is being done by all parties. So whatever it is, a transparent system would have been a much better system rather than a opaque system. That's the only point.
Do you think that the post information given by the State Bank of India is in any way going to affect the parliamentary elections
May
and
not.
political parties?
May not, because all major business houses will always take care of all the main partners. May not be equally. Proportionately, they may give 70% to ruling party, 30% to opposition, but still they give 30%. So when you start giving this list, I will not be surprised if the same fellow figures here as well as there, but the amounts may differ. But one thing is that can throw up further issues like, you have given him that much, so give me that much, people can ask. That can become embarrassing to the business as well. So whether this whole judgment will lead to a better electoral practices or lead to a lot of underhand dealings, we are yet to, we'll have to see how it works out.
Because we have seen in the previous YSR government regime the same sort of process, but not by way of bonds, but most of the investments which Jagan companies and others they got is by way of subscribing to the shares with a lot of premium, with no existence and all that. So do you think that this is a different version of funding to the political parties, or that is a quid pro quo, and here you can't, unless you establish quid pro quo, the amount of funding that is
One, electoral bonds is legally correct. At least as long as it stayed, it was legally correct. What happened in Jagan was illegal, because that's a quid pro quo for a benefit given there, cash given here. So since these cases have come up, nobody may take it that way also. So you may not see any white money coming in. So whatever comes will only be in terms of cash, which it will be difficult to pin down and catch. That's what is going to happen. What happened in that thing is, you did something from the government side to a company, the company came and invested in the companies of the CM's son. So it was easy to prove the quid pro quo. But if for whatever services rendered to that company, the company has given cash to Jagan, it would have been not that easy to prove it. So these issues will be the route that may take, rather than a quid pro quo where a white money comes into another company in the future.
Thank you, sir, for clarifying.
Thank you.